Okay, in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to add form controls in an HTML page. These are all HTML form controls. So these are the controls that we have here, which are label, text, password, text area, checkbox, ready button, select, which is a drop down list, a file button, which gives you the option of uploading a file, button, normal button, reset button, submit button, color, date, email, month, week, number, range, search, telephone, time, and URL. There are some more, but these are the basic ones that we will try to go through. Okay, the first thing that we have to do is to get to our Visual Studio Code, and here we will create a new file. Let's call this form inputs. Okay, here we have the basic structure of our HTML file. Okay, whenever you want to add the form controls, you need to start with the form tag. If you are adding form controls, you can start with the form tag. Okay, the first two fields that we will go for are the label and the input text field. Okay, you can start with, you have label, and you can see here the moment you write label, it gives you the option of writing for. Now this for, I will explain what this is. Let's say we want first name, okay, we will select this one, and then we can have the input. Now this is the syntax that when you're trying to add an input field, you go input, then you have type, which is text in our case at the moment also, and the name is fname. Now the label for and the name here, or even we have the option of ID actually here, we can have something like this. ID is equal to fname, and this one can be anything. For now, let's leave it as fname. So we have one field which is, we have one control which is your label, and it should display fname, or let's say it should display first name. Okay, we will run this one first. Okay, you can see here it gives you first name as this. Now after that, I can go without this adding this also, the for thing here. I mean, it will still work if I don't have this. Let's say it's something like this. I save this and I refresh it. You can see still it's the same thing, but the purpose of putting this one is actually that the for attribute of the label tag should, this one, the for, let us go back. Okay, the for attribute of the label tag should be equal to the ID attribute, this one, the ID attribute of the input element, so that they can bind together. Okay, this one most probably later when we submit this form to a PHP, then we know what it does. So this is the basic for the label and text field. Okay, one more thing we need to remember here. This is again for the later use, but still I will just explain it. That if the name attribute is omitted, like here, this one, the name attribute is omitted, the value of this input field, whatever you type into this text field or text box, will not be sent to the other file or the PHP file. There we need to have we get these details through this name attribute. Okay, now we can add the password field. We can do one more thing like this. we will copy that. And the input type is again, the input type is password in this case. You can see here it gives you password, and again we can say password for this one and password for this one also for now. Okay, we save that. You can see here it shows us like this. Let us move this one to the next line, and to do that we just need to add the break tag here. You can see we can add one more. So we have the password. Now here when we type something we can see what we are typing, but here it only gives us dots or asterisks in the password field. Okay, the next one is our text area. Now let us see how to add the text area. We can also start with the label here. Let's say we can just go with the label, and we have here comments. And for text area we just need to write text area, that's it. And you can go with ID or you can go with name also. Let us select both of them. So this is our syntax for text area. Now let's have a look, and we come here. You can see here it shows us the text area, right? You can see it shows us the scroll bar also. Now there are other inputs also for this one, like the rows and column option you also have. You can specify the rows and columns for the text area also. Okay, the next control that we look at is the checkbox. Okay, so let's see how we can get the checkbox. We can go with just the checkbox option without showing any ID at the moment. Okay, we have something like this. Now let's see how this displays on the page. You can see here they're all coming in one line like this. Let's say we don't want it to be like that. So what we can do, we can add the break tag here so that we get them on the new line, and even here we can add one so that it is below the text area, something like this, right? And we can have, let's say, okay, you can see it shows here, so it means we can add one more break tag there. We can add one more here. So here we have something like this, right? So you can select these ones. Okay, now I will add the next control, which is radio button, and again that is also very simple. We will go we'll add one line, and we can say label. Let's call these gender. Now input type is radio button, right? You only need to write radio. You can have the name attribute also, and let's call it gender. Okay, let us save this and have a look. You can see here it shows us gender, male and female, and we can select only one at a time, right? That's why it's called a radio button, while here we can have multiple selection. Okay, the next control is your selection or drop down list. So once again, let's add some space. Now here let's add the label, and let's say select your age, right? Now what we need to do here is just write the select tag. This is our select tag, and inside this select tag we can add the options. Let's say the first option we can just put select, and then we can have okay, something like this. So now let us save this and see how it looks like. Okay, here we have our select your age. Okay, and now here we can select from the list, right? So this is how you can add drop down list. Okay, the next one that we have is the file select. Now how do we do that? And we just need to add the file type here. Let us save this and have a look at it. So here you can see it gives us, okay, let us move this one to the next line. So when you click this, it's going to give you option to select a file, right? So this is our choose file option. Okay, next one is our button. So let us see how we can add a button here. input type is button. Okay, now here we have something value. We have it in other controls also, but here what you need to display on the button, you can put that under value. And after that you have the options of you can have the width option, height option also for the button. So but for now just we leave it like this. Let us save this and see how this one displays. So you can see here we have the button. Okay, next one is our reset button. How are we going to add the reset button? Input type is just reset. Okay, here we can have the value as reset also. Let us save this and have a look at it. So here we have the reset button. Next one is our submit button. You can see here it gives us submit option. Here we can write submit form, right? Then you can have some other options to, if you want to have a maybe a color or some style to the button, you can use the CSS. We save this and let's see, here we have the submit button. So this is how you can add the buttons. So when we click the reset, it's going to reset all the fields. Okay, the next one is our color control. We can put the whole thing in one line also, or we can do something like this. Let's say it is here. So we can start with the input. Input type is equal to color. So this is enough for the color control. Let's see. So here you can see we have the color control. Okay, then we have the date control, and once again we start with the label. Here you can see the date, it shows you, and you can select the date, something like this. You have the years, you have the months, and you have the date. Okay, the next one we have is actually the date time, the control with date and time both. So we will just copy this thing, and this one is actually called datetime-local. So it gives you the option of having the date and time, both of them at the same time. It is here date time dash local. Okay, so here we have it. So once you click this, you have the option of right? So you can see you have the date and you have the time also. Okay, the next option that we have is the email. But before adding the email, one more thing that we can do here, just for some clarification to see how things go. We have the submit button and we have the reset button here. I have added these two buttons to have a look that how things are going to work. This is our email option here. You have the label, you have email as the label, then you have input type email, and then you close the label. Now we can add one more thing, like for example there is a field where you want the user to input something there. It cannot be an empty field. It means the field is required, it's a must. So what you can do for that, like first thing here, let's say this is our email, type is email, and we can add the placeholder also. Placeholder means something that is displayed inside the field where you're going to type. So it gives you an idea that what you have to type there. Okay, and then after this one you can have the keyword required, which means that this is a must. You need to add this one. Okay, so this is our syntax. Let us move it here. You have the label email, then you have the input type as email. Placeholder means the field where you're going to enter the email. This is going to display there as an example that this is how you need to enter the email. And the last one is required. So you need to enter this one. Once you submit the form, it's going to give you some error or something that okay, this is required, you have not added this one. So let me save this and let's have a look here. Now you can see here, this is our email. It is showing us here. So we need to add something. Let's say I add something like this and I click submit. You can see here it says please include an @ in the email address is missing and @. So it means here I need to have the @. Now your email is correct or wrong, it doesn't makes a difference, but you need to have the @ options which shows that this is an email. You can see it submitted easily. Okay, the next one is the week. The input type is week, so it gives you the week number of the year. I mean, if you select a date, it shows you what is the week number. Now let us just have a look at it. Okay, here you can see it shows us the week. Now when I click this, you can see here on the left are the week numbers. Okay, now I click this week, you can see it says this is the 26th week of the year. Now let us just go to, let's say, January, and we go to the, let's say, date 5. It shows us this is week number 1 of the year 2024. So this is how you can add the week, or this is how you can display the week control. Okay, the next control we have is the number. How we can display numbers of our choice or as a list, in fact. So we will start with the new line. Let's call it number. Now here you have some options here, which is like you can say the minimum number is, let's say, okay, let's say 1. The maximum number is 10, and the value that is displayed, let's say it is 5. And before this one we can have one step here also. which is actually 1. Let's say let's make it 2 and see what it does. Value 5 means that one should be displayed. Okay, now we can close this one, and between this one we can actually type here some text that after the label, after this the whole thing completes, here we can say here enter a number between what is 1 and 10. Let us save this and see how it looks. Okay, here you can see we have the number 5. That is what we were displaying. Okay, okay, now what we have done, see, the step value that I have put here is 2. So now if I start with 1, and the next one should be 3, 5, 7, 9, and it cannot go to up to 10. So let us change this one to step 1. Now you can see it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Right? Now here, yeah, we did not fill this one. We did not put required, but if you are selecting from the list, it means these are the numbers that you will select, and it is giving us this option automatically. We haven't written anything extra for that. Only the type is number. So if you use the type number, it automatically gives you the option of selecting from the, what do you call that, a spinner. This control is actually, I think, known as a spinner type. You get the up arrow and down arrow. Okay, the next one that we have is our telephone input field. So we start with the label, or let's say we put the new line, or let's call it mobile number. Input type is equal to TEL. Then we can have the placeholder, and placeholder we just need to display that how the number should look like. Now this is a complete number with the country code also. Now there is one more thing after this that is important, which is called pattern. Now here you are going to define what are the possible values that can come there, right? So we start something like this. The first part that we have is 0 to 9, right? For all of them it should be 0 to 9. And the first one, how many numbers are allowed? These are 5 numbers. So let's say 5 will come here like this. Then we have the dash, then we have again 0 to 9. Then we have here 2 numbers. Then we have a dash again. Then we have 0 to 9. And this time we have 7 numbers, right? So we put here 7. So this is the pattern that is required there. And again, one more thing we can put here, that this field is required. So this is what we have. Now let us see how this is going to display. Okay, here we have the option. Now I can just go and enter something like this, and I submit here. Okay, this one, let us put something here first. And this one is also required field, so let's see what it does. Now here say please match the requested format. Now let us clear it. Okay, so this is the format we need to match. The first one is 5 digits, so it means I need to have 5, 2 and 7. So here I can say 00966, then I have the dash, then I say let's say 56, and then I have 7 numbers, right? So we can click submit, and you can say okay, this one again. Okay, let's submit. Now you can see it submitted perfectly without any problem. So this is the format that you have to follow. So you can define a format of your own, something like this for the telephone number. Okay, let us go to the next control, which is once again the time control. This one is the time control where you get the time only, no date for this one. And input type is time, and we can leave it up to this point only. If you want to display how the time looks like, you can do something like this, and we save this. So here we have the time option, right? So you can select the time. It gives you hours and minutes and the AM or PM option. So the input type is time, that's it. Okay, the next option is the something like a slider, which is called a range actually. So we can have label as range, input type is range, and we don't have any placeholder. Now after the range you have some more options like minimum, then you have maximum, let's say let's say 100, and the value that is displayed, let's say it is 20. So our input type is range, and the range we are trying to show here what the range is. It starts from 0 and goes up to 100, while the value that is displayed or that is set on that slider is 20. So here we have the slider. You can see here it is 20, so it goes up to 100. Now if you want to display the values, we can do something like this. We can have 0 here and let's say 100 here. Now let us see how it looks like. Yeah, you can see here it shows you 0 here and 100 here, right? It doesn't change. For changing we need to use JavaScript, but for now it is only showing you how to add the control. Okay, the next one is our search field. And in the placeholder we can right, search, okay, then we can close this one. Here we have the search option, right? So now it's not going to do anything actually at the moment, but you can control these ones by using JavaScript, that what happens when this is clicked or when something is put here and you enter or something. Okay, the next one is the next one, or let's say the last one for this, is the URL, and again you just need to input type is this, and the placeholder you can have something just to show that how you're, let us make it like this, or instead of writing the name of a website we can just say some domain.com. okay, let us save this and see what it shows. Now you can see here it gives you something like this. So this is all the controls that we have. These are all the, basic controls that you can use in your forms. At the moment, these control, you cannot do anything with these controls. You can just look at them and try to enter the values and see. The next step that we will try to do is to handle these controls, that whatever has been typed here should be received by some file, or we can move it to a database and we can control these things, right? And for that we need to use PHP and JavaScript.